Welcome to the sixth video in this series on zero-based budgeting and cash flow management using the Managing My Money Excel tool. The first set of videos on planning provided an overview of zero-based budgeting and the Managing My Money Excel tool. It also showed how to use the tool to create a zero-based budget. The second set of videos on tracking demonstrated how to record expenses and how to use the functionality provided in the tool to simplify that process. This video is part of financial control and will be focused on monthly expense management. In this video, we will explain what monthly expense management is and how we do it. We will then demonstrate the process with 3 scenarios. Expense management is an essential part of financial control. This is where you become empowered to achieve your goals and improve your financial well-being. Many people have trouble sticking to a budget because it seems restrictive and inflexible. However, a zero-based budget does not have these problems if managed correctly. In fact, it can be so flexible that you can easily update and adjust your spending plan in just minutes every single week and still be on track to meet your financial goals and priorities for the year. Why is this? Well, when you created your zero-based budget, you are really making 2 separate spending plans. The first plan is for monthly expenses, and the second plan is for annual expenses. Financial control encompasses managing both of these plans. It is easiest to do this separately. We will talk about how to manage the annual plan in the next video. In this video, we explain the monthly expense management process. You manage your monthly plan every week and only focus on monthly expenses. Monthly expense management is a planning session done every week in which you will review the expenses made so far this month against your monthly expense plan. In this session, you will review what has been spent and then prioritize or replan what to do with the remaining dollars you have allocated for the current month. This is like an envelope system where you can choose each week where to allocate the remaining dollars you have for the month. However, you are limited to the total dollars you have planned for that month. To simplify things even further, a good number of your monthly expenses are fixed, so you do not have to spend time on those. You only need to replan around the variable expenses that you can control. That is what allows you to do this monthly expense planning session in just minutes per week. However, to properly do this, you must have your expense tracking sheet up to date. So I recommend to keep the expense tracking sheet updated as frequently as possible, daily, or every 2 to 3 days, but at least once a week. Also, you should use all the tracking tools available per the previous video, such as auto-categorization, to simplify the process. If you feel that you're struggling to keep your tracking sheet updated due to the time it takes, then I highly recommend to consider auto import of your bank and credit card data. That does have a cost associated with it. However, I consider that cost to be worth it if it makes the difference between having the data you need in place to properly manage your expenses each week and doing that management or not doing that management. I will take some time now to orient you to what is on the screen and then review the process for the monthly expense plan management session that occurs each week. The monthly expenses that you can control are listed on the far left, along with their budgets for the month. At the bottom of that table is the total budget for the month, or in this case, $4,795. The first 2 rows of this table, you'll notice, are reserved for the fixed expenses that you cannot change. So the details for those you can see by clicking on the Click for Details buttons. For example, fixed monthly costs. If I click that button on the far right side of the screen, you'll see it'll show the details for those. And for the optional or part year, if I click the button, it'll show the details for those. These are for your information so that you can see them and refer to them. but since they can't be changed, they are not going to be used in the planning session, other than for you to know that that's where that money is being spent. Um, Second thing to note about that is you'll notice that those have values. Here's the budget, and then on the orange column shows the amount spent this month so far. So you'll see that for the fixed expenses, for the current month, it will always automatically put in, even if those expenses have not hit your sheet yet, so they've not hit your bank, because these are fixed and they're recurring, and the system knows that they will hit at some point in the month, they're automatically shown as being already having hit your budget. That way you don't think that that money is available in your planning session. Okay, so the other thing is the percent of month remaining at the top. This number here right now, it shows 76%. That's used to help you assess in assessing how you're doing each week. For example, if you have 76% of the month remaining, that's about a weekend, right? Then you should have about 76% or more of funds remaining in each category to use. The amount, percent of unspent money still available to be spent per category is shown in the guidance section, which is this section here underneath where it says instructions. The most important field on this screen is the balance box at the bottom. The entire purpose of this screen and the management meeting to be held each week is to allocate all the money that you still have available so that the balance box shows green and with a value of 0. A value of 0 means that all your money is allocated. The second most important item on this screen is the Fill Amount Spent from Transactions button. So pressing this button will do three things. First, it will fill in this orange column that says amount spent this month with all the amounts spent per category in the current month. Second, it will modify the remaining funds available to you to spend to show how much money you have left for the month. And then third, it will update the text in this user guidance area on the right to give you some guidance. So now let's talk about the process, how you will go about using this in a weekly planning session. There's only 3 steps. The first step is you pick the current month from the drop-down list, if that's not already picked. Second, you'll click the Fill Amount Spent from Transactions, and then that will fill in all of these values so that they're all up to date. And then third, the last step will be to use the yellow cells to allocate all of the funds remaining to the categories until the balance box shows green and 0. Now we'll go over a few demos. We'll do 3 demos. One in a situation where everything's going according to plan and you're simply looking at the plan each week of the month. The second demo will be around where you have to make some adjustments to your plan during the month. And the third is where there's some big changes in your expenses during the month and you need to prioritize how to handle the rest of the money for the month. Week 1, it is March 7th, 76% of the month remaining, and we're 1 week into the month. So I'm sitting down to do my planning sessions. I click the Fill Amount to Spend from Transactions, and that fills in the amount spent. So what and updates the amount remaining. So if I look here, I have $1,405 available to allocate. Everything looks good. So I have 76% of the month remaining. Everything I have, about 70% or more. When I look at this, I simply say I'm on track. Everything looks good. I'm simply going to take all of the funds that I have remaining and allocate them to the same place, right? Everything's good. So I can do that either by typing in the number, 75 there, 10 there, that will 300 there, or you could actually just put a formula that says equals the remaining amount and drag down. Either one will work. Okay, my balance box is 0. I have everything allocated. I'm simply saying I'm going to take the amount remaining for fuel, and that's how much I'm going to use for fuel for the rest of the month. I'm going to take the amount remaining for groceries, and that's the amount that I'm going to use for groceries. And that is it. It is now week 2, about halfway through March. If I look at the percent of month remaining, 52% remaining. I'm going to go ahead and click the fill amount from transactions again. That will update my amount spent and the remaining. Now again, I will look at my percent a month, 52%. I look over here. Some of them I'm starting to overspend a bit. You know, eating out, I only have 44% remaining, and I have 52% of the month left. So I'm a little under there, but it's still okay. I mean, I think I just need to maybe slow down on my eating out a little bit this month to make that $175 that's left last through the month. But everything else looks right on. So just like last time, I'm simply going to, I'll just use the amount remaining as my allocation because I think I'm on track. And that is it. My planning session for this week is done. It is now the 28th of March. I only have 3%, about 3 days in the month remaining. Let me click fill amount from transactions and see where we stand. So it looks like I have spent all of my fuel money, all of my toll money. There's a number of these that are set to 0 under remaining that are completely gone. But I only have 3 days left, and when I look, now I need to do a little bit of thinking. I look at the bottom, my balance box shows I have $170 left to spend over the next couple of days before I enter the next month, and then I get a whole set of funds back again. So where do I want to put those $170? Well, I look and say I don't really need to fuel up again. I just fueled up, and I can last the next couple of days without refueling. I'll wait till the first of the next month. That's fine. Same thing with tolls. I'm just going to avoid tolls for the next couple of days. No issue. I'm not going to need to use tolls. Eating out, I only have $5 left. I can't really do much with $5, but you know, maybe I could, if it's just me going to lunch one time, I can do that. But you know, okay. I just want to look at groceries. Groceries, you know, where do I want to spend this $170? If I look at this, I might say, well, really, what I'd like to do, I've got to the end of the month, we have something coming up. I'd like to spend we'd like to spend $100 on entertainment this week. Okay. And that leaves me $70 left in my balance box, and I'm going to say yes. We're going to have to run to the store and get some eggs, milk, some basics, and some food for because we have a couple days left. But you know, pretty much we're okay. I can get by with a $70 grocery trip, right? My balance box is 0. Now, essentially what that is telling me is I've decided to take all the remaining miscellaneous money and the remaining eating out money and some of my grocery money and allocate it towards entertainment. So basically that it says over budget in big red, but all that means is that it requires funds from another category to fund it. And I've essentially put in 0 for eating out for the next couple of days. And I'm going to avoid eating out till 1st of April. I'm going to 0 for miscellaneous. I'm not going to, you know, I'm going to keep my spending tight the next couple of days because we're going to do this big $100 entertainment, whatever we have planned. And I'm also going to make sure that my shopping trip I don't exceed $70. And that gets me to the end. So basically that allows you, and this is what you do every week of the month, is you're looking to see within the month you have the flexibility as long as you stay on plan. Even I'm right now assured that for this month I'm able to meet all my goals. My annual goals are going to be on track because I'm not impacting them by overspending on my monthly plan. This demo begins at the end of week 2. So we're right in the mid-month, 52% complete with the month. So let's take off from the first week of the month. Everything was you can see the data still here from the end of the first week of the month. Everything was right on track. Everything was green. Everything was good. But then this last week, the second week of the month, we had an unexpected visit by family. Family members, people came in unexpectedly, and we needed to drive to the airport, pick them up. We had entertainment. We had an extra large grocery bill. A lot of things occurred. So let's see what happens. I'm going to go ahead and pull in the transactions that happened this month. And you can see that as a result of those, we had not really planned for that. And so as a result, you can see that in a couple of areas we're over budget, or we're, the orange shows that we're in distress a bit. The red means that we've exceeded the budget. We have used already more funds for the month than we have for the entire month, and we still have half the month left. So this is a situation that can happen. The nice thing about this is that you have this planning session each week, and you can adjust. If you just let life happen and go through, these things can compound on themselves. But when you have the weekly planning session, you can then use this to come up with a return to green plan, as we call it. So let's see what we're going to do here. We have some work to do. So one of the things is I'm going to look at I have $610 left for the rest of the month. And how can I make that last with what expenses I have to do? This is where you have to prioritize and make some decisions. For example, on fuel. So let's say that, one of the things that I want to try to prioritize my goals in this first example. So my goals is saying, well, I already made the extra loan payment earlier in the month, so that's not a handle that I can use. I do have my emergency fund that I have not set aside yet, to build up my emergency fund, but I want to prioritize that. So I'm gonna say I'm still gonna allocate $140 towards the emergency fund. I'm gonna do that first. Now let me see what I'm gonna do with the rest of this. So I say, okay, for my fuel, really I need $40. I can stretch it. I'm gonna need, even without that $40, I have $35 left. I need $40, so that's going to bring me over budget. Okay, tolls. I can do without the tolls. I am going to avoid tolls at all costs for the next 2 weeks. Okay, eating out. Yes, I have $175 left for eating out. But the problem is, I'm going to need that money elsewhere, because if I look at my grocery budget, I'm thinking I can't make it for 2 weeks on $300. I'm going to need, let's say, at least $400, and that's going to be tight, right? So I've got to pull in. That only leaves me with $30 left, right? So what that means is, okay, let me look. What other handles do I? Discretionary. I'm not going to use any discretionary. I'm going to really avoid any expenses. Entertainment. I don't have any money left. That's already overspent. Eating out, I have $30. You know what? I'm going to have lunches sometimes at work. I'm going to really, though, keep it to $30 for the next 2 weeks, because that's my return to green plan. And that is how you can be over budget. You can have something blown in a specific week of the month, but you can plan and still stay on track. You hear Dave Ramsey talking about rice and beans. Well, I don't really subscribe to the rice and beans all the time. But when you get into the situations where you then say, yes, I need to really eat leftovers. I need to eat, shop for the inexpensive food. I need to not eat out. I need to really pull back, and you can do that. Now, there's another way to look at this too. You can say, well, I really want to prioritize my emergency fund, but in some cases, you may need to give up and to keep your month whole. For example, if you said, I absolutely have to have, because I have some business trips, I have to have $50 in fuel, and I have to have $460 groceries to make it through the month, and that's really cutting it tight. Now I'm over by $70 for the whole month, so I've got to give up. And in that case, I can say, well, okay, I'm not gonna eat out, right? And I still $40 over. Where can I pull it from? Well, in that case, I'm going to have to pull it from my emergency, from adding to my emergency, from building up my emergency fund from that goal. That brings me back to zero. Now when I look at my goal tracker in the future, I'll see that I'm a bit short on building up my emergency fund. But if you remember in the previous video, in the plan, we actually planned a bit more for our emergency fund than we had our goal. So I'm probably still okay. So anyway, that is a way that you can work on a weekly basis to return to green. And we talk about empowerment and having control over your finances. What that means is visibility on what's happening and making decisions on a routine basis, on a timely basis. So every week, if you wait, until like the last week of the month, it's too late, right? This is going to be red, and there's probably no way to recover. And if you keep doing that every month over the year, your year plan's not going to work, right? But if you are consistently spending just a few minutes, you see that this process here took just a few minutes every week to have this planning session, then that will allow you visibility and control and empowerment to make sure that you can enable all of your financial goals.
If you've been following my video series and you found value in what this tool can do for you, then I'd like to share with you the prerequisites for using the MMM Managing My Money tool in Excel. First of all, as noted, it is free to download and to use, but you need to email mmm.expenseplanning@gmail.com to obtain an activation code and download instructions. Second, this runs on a local version of Microsoft Excel, so it's not running on cloud. Everything will be local on your machine, but it requires that you have Office 365 version running locally on your machine. It only uses United States regional date and currency formats. And as mentioned before, although this is a free tool that I'm making available, there is, if you desire to have data imported from your bank or credit card companies, then that requires an optional paid subscription to an unaffiliated service, one of two, right, to get that data into Excel, into this tool in a simple manner. I hope you found value in this video, and thank you for watching.